Hi everyone, welcome to the YDT Summit. Today we have the wonderful Julian Moss. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. That was a very overstated entrance, I
think. Awesome. Yeah, so for anyone that's not sort of come across you before, do you mind giving us a bit of background on your journey of dance up to here?
Yeah, of course. I actually started relatively late in the dance scene. I wanted to be an actor originally. And a friend of mine, I was at a local drama school, and a friend of mine who was teaching me couldn't come that day and sent a friend of his instead, who was a dance teacher. And I did a dance class and basically was hooked. And then, the usual sort of thing. And then I went to see London Contemporary Dance Theatre in 1975 in Basildon, in Essex, and just decided that was what I wanted to do after having seen that show. So I went to London Contemporary Dance School after a year at the Laban Centre, joined London Contemporary Dance Theatre in the early 80s, danced with them through to the 1990, became Robert North's assistant, then went to America to join a ballet company because I wanted to do some ballet, and stayed in America for a year doing with Ballet Met, and then I joined Gothenburg Ballet as the ballet master. And then the last show I ever did was with the Arena di Verona in Italy. So that's about it. And then I've done teaching and choreography and stuff all around that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Quite the journey.
It's been good. It's been I wouldn't by choice change any of it. So I'm happy with, when I look back, sometimes people look back and they say, oh, I wish I'd have done that. And actually I look back and I think, no, it worked, for good and bad.
Yeah. I think you learn from the things that you wouldn't have wanted to happen anyways.
Absolutely. They're usually the ones that teach you the most. Usually. Yeah.
Awesome. Would you have any advice for people graduating into these sort of very uncertain times at the moment?
I'm always loath to give advice, but the one thing that, because there are so many infinite variables and so many infinite possibilities and everything like that. But the one thing I would say, especially now with the world in the sort of awful state that it's in, is that if you do, or if you have already, it's different if you graduated because one assumes that you've made the choice to be in this business from the beginning. I think you have to have a really sort of steely constitution to keep going. But don't waver. If this is what you've chosen, keep doing it. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's difficult, but keep going. If you haven't yet gone to school or a senior college or anything, think very hard. Just think very, very hard and make sure that it is something that you want to do and not just and I don't mean this at all in a negative way, but it's not an overdeveloped hobby. This is a profession, and it's and as in all professions, they can be cutthroat at the sharp end. So I just think that the thing is that you need to be really, really convinced and sure that it is something you want to do. I think that's probably. But as for advice, I don't know. As I said at the beginning, I'm a bit loath to give advice to people. Happy to discuss, but averse to giving advice.
Nice. With companies being subject to like the effects of the coronavirus and stuff, where would you recommend that people spend their time? Like, should they build up their portfolio of choreography and dancing, or should they be focusing on like different skill sets to complement their dance journey?
That's a very good question. Again, I think that there's infinite possibilities in that. If you mentioned a portfolio of choreography, obviously, if you're a choreographer, very often in history, the best art has come out of duress. It's come out of situations where people are forced to create art for one reason or another. They're either forced because they're not allowed to do it, or they're forced. And just as a slight sideline, excuse me, I taught a choreography course some years ago at the National Academy of Dance in Rome. And there were 8 choreographers in the studio, and I walked in on the first day and I said, okay, make a dance. And then I walked out. And when I came back after an hour, no one had moved. They were all still sitting in the same spot that I left them. And they were all scratching their heads because they didn't know what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
So the reason I'm telling you this is that you need a framework to push against. This situation is actually, whilst on the one hand it's desperate, it's a fantastic creative opportunity for envelopes to be pushed, for boundaries to be stretched, all of those things. The problem that's specifically with regard to choreography and sort of creation. The problem as a dancer, if you're, I say just, I don't mean just, but I mean if you're a dancer, we all know what that entails. But if you're a dancer, the problem is that you need to practice dancing. And, you unfortunately, whilst the acquisition of any other skill set is valuable, dancing is what we do, and anything that can help you with your dancing is great, but the only way to get better at dancing is to keep dancing. Now, I understand that there's a problem, an inherent problem, if you can't get in a studio, what do you do? I don't know. I'm still scratching my head to try and work that out. Because for me, and the kind of generation and the kind of dance that I grew up with and am still involved in requires space.
Yeah.
Having said that, as a choreographic challenge, it's and the last part of your question was the acquisition of other skill sets, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, keep learning. That's the other secret. Learn anything. Absolutely. Learn another language, read a book, play in it. I see you're surrounded by instruments there. So
oh yeah.
yeah, lots of guitars. So is that a Fender hanging there?
Bass and acoustic, and then electric.
Yeah, nice. No, so obviously, excuse me. All of those things are really, really useful. But I think it goes back to the question you asked me before about one of the things that this awful situation will do is it will sort out a lot of people's, if they're questioning the choices that they've made, this will provoke them and push them in one direction or another, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know whether that answers your question or not.
Yeah, no, completely.
Yeah.
So I think it does allow time for people to think about the things that they've been putting off thinking about as well, in terms of if they're creating stuff, more of the logistical side of things, I guess. It frees up more time for that. But yeah, how have you been keeping busy over the past year?
Yes. Well, I live in Sweden, and so now it's quite difficult to get out. I like to be outside a lot, but we've got here in Stockholm, we've got snow at the moment, and I'm not a major fan of the white stuff. I have to be quite honest. But in the summer, Sweden is amazing in the summer. One of the things that I do in the summer, I bought some years ago a kayak, and I go paddling in one of the lakes here. And I say it's a lake. It's much more like a Scottish loch. It's a real, these are not ponds. These are proper. And I do about 20 kilometers a day in the kayak, and that's really nice because I try and get out on the water early in the morning, and then just paddle, and it's that's very therapeutic in a way. Gives you time to think, clear your mind.
Yeah.
So I enjoy that. The other thing I do is I write. When I was at the university in Stockholm, I was a professor at the university in Stockholm for a while, and I wrote a paper which was called actually I can't even remember what it was called. Mirror, it was called, and it was about teaching, about my experiences as a teacher. I'm writing a new paper now, which is called Where Do We Go From Here? Which is less to do with the current situation and more to do with an artistic question about where we've arrived with modern dance. That's so I'm writing that, but it's proving to be more difficult than I thought. Yeah. Anyway, actually, one thing I'd just like to mention, if I can, which is completely unrelated to anything you've asked me, is I wanted to mention the death of Robert Cohan, who was the director of London Contemporary Dance Theatre when I was a dancer there, and it's sort of rocked the whole dance world, and we're all reeling from his death at the moment, and I just wanted to make his name spoken so we hear it again, because he was a hero of mine. So there we are, done it now.
Well, thank you for that.
It's like a plug, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for coming on today. You shared some very insightful things. And I'll definitely like to have a look at that paper when you're done with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll send you a copy. Maybe we could talk about it again. It's going to be very controversial and it will annoy a lot of people. But I've got to the type of writing. I've got to the age where I don't care about things like that. It's good to see you come on.
You too.
Lovely.